For years, I was a self-help junkie. My bookshelf was a graveyard of good intentions. Books on habits, mindset, productivity, mindfulness, you name it, I'd read it. I'd highlight passages, make notes, feel a surge of motivation for about a week, and then nothing. The familiar hum of stress would creep back in. The quiet weight of anxiety would settle right back onto my shoulders. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do, but I was still stuck, running on a hamster wheel of personal development and going nowhere fast. But what if the solution wasn't in another 300-page book filled with complex frameworks and 10-step plans? What if the most profound transformation I could ever experience was locked inside 4 simple, almost childlike phrases from an ancient Hawaiian practice? I was skeptical, to say the least. It sounded way too simple, too good to be true, but I was also desperate for a real change. So I made a deal with myself. For 30 days, I would repeat these 4 phrases every single day. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I decided to document everything, from my stress and happiness levels to the subtle shifts in my daily life. And the changes I saw starting from day 1 were nothing short of shocking. What I discovered was a tool so powerful it felt more effective for me than any self-help book I have ever read. To really get the magnitude of what happened, you need to understand where I was when I started. On the surface, things looked fine. I had a job, friends, a place to live. But internally, I was living in a state of constant, low-grade chaos. My mind was a relentless narrator of worries. Did I respond to that email correctly? What did that person really mean when they said that? Am I doing enough? Am I enough? The questions were endless and they were exhausting. My stress wasn't the loud, screaming kind. It was a quiet, corrosive force. It showed up as a permanent tightness in my shoulders and jaw. It was the reason I'd get headaches that seemed to pop up out of nowhere. My digestion was a mess, a direct reflection of the knots in my stomach. I'd often lie awake at night, my mind racing through to-do lists and replaying conversations, a prisoner of my own thoughts. Sleep wasn't rest, it was just a pause before the mental marathon started all over again. I was what you might call a professional overthinker. Every decision, no matter how small, was put through this rigorous multi-level analysis. This led to a kind of paralysis. I was so afraid of making the wrong choice that I often made no choice at all. My intuition was a whisper I could barely hear over the shouting of my logical, fearful mind. And my relationships. I held on to everything. Every perceived slight, every misunderstanding, every time I felt let down. I had a mental filing cabinet full of grievances, not just against others, but against myself. The weight of unforgiveness was immense, but I didn't even realize I was carrying it. I just thought that was how life was. You get hurt, you remember it, and you carry it with you to protect yourself. I'd tried to fix it all, of course. I'd meditated, but my mind would just use the quiet time to worry more efficiently. I'd practiced gratitude, listing things I was thankful for, but it felt like putting a pretty sticker on a roaring engine of anxiety. It felt surface level. I'd even tried affirmations, standing in front of the mirror telling myself, I am calm and at peace, while my entire nervous system was screaming, no, you are not. It just felt like a lie to me. I once read a practitioner describe this perfectly, saying that before they used statements as an attempt to get what I wanted and control my life, not to surrender and let go. I didn't know it yet, but this was exactly what I was doing. I was trying to control my reality, to force it into a shape that felt safe. I was trying to paper over the deeper patterns without ever cleaning them up. So that was me on Day 0. Stressed, anxious, a chronic overthinker, carrying a heavy, invisible backpack of resentment, and utterly frustrated that all my efforts to feel better were failing. I was a living embodiment of the problem with so much of the self-help industry. All this information, all this effort, and still so little peace. I was ready to try anything, even if it sounded absurd. And that's when I committed to the 30-day experiment with Hooponopono. The 30-day journey. Week 1. The resistance and the first crack of light. I began on a Monday morning. The instructions I'd found were simple. Just repeat the 4 phrases either out loud or in your head. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. You could direct them at a specific person or situation, or just repeat them as a general cleaning mantra. The core idea, as I understood it, was taking 100% responsibility for everything in my awareness. Not blame, but responsibility. If I was experiencing it, it was mine to clean. The first couple of days were awkward. I felt ridiculous. I'd sit in my car during my commute muttering, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," under my breath. My inner critic was having a field day. "What are you even doing? Who are you talking to? This is meaningless. You're just talking to yourself." The urge to just stop and put on a podcast was immense. There was so much resistance. My logical mind, the one I had trusted for so long, was fighting back, trying to convince me this was a total waste of time. But I had promised myself 30 days, so I pushed through the discomfort. I chanted on my way to work. I chanted while I was washing dishes. I chanted as I was falling asleep. And then, on day 3, something happened. It wasn't a lightning bolt. It was much quieter. I was stuck in a traffic jam, my usual trigger for intense frustration and a spike of cortisol. Normally, I'd be gripping the steering wheel, my jaw clenched, mentally calculating how late I was going to be. This time, without even thinking about it, I just started chanting in my head, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." I was chanting for the traffic jam, for the frustration I was feeling, and the frustration just dissolved. It didn't get suppressed or ignored, it simply vanished. The knot in my stomach untied itself. I was still in the traffic jam, but I was okay with it. A strange sense of peace settled over me. It was the first real clue that these weren't just empty words. Some practitioners have said that in the first few days they feel like they're vibrating on a completely different frequency. I wasn't there yet, but I felt a definite shift. The constant static of my anxiety had been turned down just a little. By the end of that first week, I noticed other things. I was a little less reactive. An email that would have sent me into a spiral of self-doubt was just an email. A comment from a co-worker that I would have dissected for hours just was what it was. It felt like the practice was creating a tiny buffer between a stimulus and my reaction. For the first time, I felt like I had a choice in how I responded, rather than being a victim of my own emotional triggers. It was a fragile, newfound freedom, but it was there. Week 2. The physical unwinding and the power of surrender. As I moved into the second week, my commitment deepened. The initial awkwardness was gone, replaced by a quiet curiosity. The practice had become a comforting rhythm in my day. I started to look forward to it, and this is when the changes started to show up physically. For years, sleep had been a battle, but now chanting the 4 phrases as I lay in bed became what one practitioner called a mental switch-off button. Instead of my mind spiraling into worries about tomorrow, it had a simple, soothing task. "I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you." It was a lullaby for my anxious inner child. I started falling asleep faster and, more importantly, staying asleep. I began waking up feeling rested, not like I'd just gone 10 rounds with my own thoughts. Then I noticed the tension in my body was starting to release. That permanent knot between my shoulder blades, it was softer. The tension I held in my jaw began to ease. I realized I was going through entire days without the familiar throb of a stress headache. It felt as if the mantra was a form of internal energetic massage, gently working out the physical kinks that my mental stress had created for years. My posture even felt different. I was standing up straighter, less hunched over like I was bracing for an invisible impact. But the biggest shift in week 2 was philosophical. I started to truly get the concept of 100% responsibility and surrender. One day, a project at work went completely sideways due to a mistake someone else made. The old me would have been consumed with blame and frustration. I would have spent days stewing, complaining, and feeling like a victim of circumstance. Instead, as the frustration bubbled up, I started chanting, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." I wasn't saying I was sorry for their mistake, I was sorry for the angry, judgmental data playing out inside me. I was asking for forgiveness from myself, from the universe, for holding on to this toxic energy. I was thanking the situation for showing me this program of blame running in my subconscious, and I was sending love to the situation, to the other person, and most importantly, to the part of me that was hurting. It was a profound reframing. The focus shifted from what was happening out there to what was happening in here. This is the core difference I felt. It's not about controlling the world outside, it's about cleaning your world inside. I was beginning to learn the art of surrender, of letting go of the need to control everything and everyone. The project still needed to be fixed, but I approached it from a place of calm clarity, not frantic anger. It was a game changer. Week 3, the turning point and the healing of relationships. Week 3 is when the dam broke. This was the period where I experienced a major turning point, a moment so clear and profound that it erased any lingering doubt I had. It involved a difficult relationship in my life, one that was a constant source of pain and misunderstanding. For years, we had been locked in a painful dynamic, a cycle of blame and hurt. I had a thick file of grievances against this person, and I was sure they had one for me too. I'd been applying the practice to this relationship specifically. Every time a painful memory or a surge of resentment would come up, I'd repeat the mantra, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." I was sorry for my part in the conflict, for the resentful memories I was holding on to. I was asking for forgiveness for judging them and myself. I was thanking the relationship for showing me this deep wound that needed healing. And I was sending love, trying to clean the data within me that was creating this painful perception. For weeks, nothing seemed to happen on the outside, but inside I was changing. The practice was softening my internal judgments. My anger was giving way to a strange sense of empathy. My need to be right was dissolving. I was beginning to understand on a cellular level that my peace didn't depend on them apologizing or changing. As one person who went through this process realized, peace doesn't depend on anyone else's behavior. It's an inside job. The turning point came during an unexpected phone call. In the past, our conversations were like walking through a minefield. This time, it was different. Because I had been doing the inner work, I wasn't defensive. I wasn't waiting for them to make a mistake. I was just present. And because my energy was different, their energy was different. The conversation flowed. We talked about the issue at hand without the usual accusations and defensiveness. We actually listened to each other. Towards the end of the call, out of the blue, they said, "You know, I'm sorry for how things have been between us." It was something I had longed to hear for years, something I had given up on ever hearing. And in that moment, I felt a massive, energetic release. It was like a dam of old, stagnant grief breaking apart. Tears streamed down my face, but they were tears of relief, of release. This moment felt like a direct result of the inner cleaning. I hadn't asked for an apology. I hadn't manipulated the situation. I had simply cleaned my side of the street and in doing so, created the space for a miracle to occur. It was a powerful lesson in how changing your inner world can, in a way that defies logic, change your outer reality. Week 4, a new inner landscape. The final week of my experiment felt like a victory lap. The practice was no longer a discipline, it was a part of me. It was my first response to any sign of inner turmoil. Stuck in a long line? "I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you." Feeling a flicker of anxiety about an upcoming meeting? "I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you." The cumulative effect of these 30 days was staggering. The person who started this journey, anxious, stressed, and reactive, felt like a distant memory. It wasn't that my life was suddenly perfect and free of challenges. The challenges were still there. But my relationship to them had been fundamentally transformed. I was no longer a victim of my circumstances or my emotions. A practitioner who documented a similar journey described that by week 4, their entire inner landscape had been rearranged into something more spacious, forgiving, and free. That is the perfect description of how I felt. The constant mental chatter had quieted down, replaced by a sense of calm and presence. The world looked different, more vibrant. It was as if I had been looking at life through a smudged, dirty window, and Hooponopono had finally cleaned the glass. My intuition, which had been a faint whisper, was now a clear, calm voice. I found myself making decisions with a newfound ease and confidence, not because I had analysed every possible outcome, but because I could hear that inner guidance more clearly. It felt like the practice was clearing away the mental clutter that usually drowns out our intuitive wisdom. On day 30, I sat down and reflected on the journey. The change was not just a feeling, it was measurable in my life. My sleep was better, my headaches were gone, my relationships were more harmonious, and my overall sense of well-being had skyrocketed. I had found what all those self-help books had promised, but failed to deliver: a genuine, lasting sense of inner peace. And I had found it in 4 simple phrases. So what were the tangible, shocking results after 30 days? Let's break it down. The transformation wasn't just a vague feeling of being better. It was a multifaceted shift that touched every area of my life. First, my mental and emotional state. Before, my mind was a runaway train. After 30 days, it was like I had finally found the brake. The constant loop of worry and anxiety didn't have the same power over me. Hooponopono had given me a tool to unhook from those negative thought patterns the moment they arose. This resulted in a profound increase in mental clarity. I could think more clearly, and decision-making became incredibly streamlined because my choices were no longer clouded by fear and over-analysis. The biggest emotional shift was in the realm of forgiveness. The resentments I had been carrying, those heavy stones in my backpack, had been set down. I felt that in my bones. Letting go wasn't an intellectual exercise anymore. It was an emotional reality. This created a huge amount of free space in my mind and heart, space that was quickly filled with a sense of lightness and peace. Second, the physical results were undeniable. I went from being a chronic insomniac to sleeping deeply through the night. The tension headaches that plagued me vanished. The constant tightness in my shoulders and neck released its grip. I simply had more energy. I could feel the physiological shift. My body was no longer in a constant state of fight or flight. The practice was calming my nervous system in a way that no amount of deep breathing or bubble baths ever had. Third, my relationships transformed. By continuously cleaning the data within me, I showed up differently. I was less defensive, less judgmental, and more open. I stopped seeing conflict as a battle to be won and started seeing it as an opportunity for cleaning. The miraculous shift I experienced in my most difficult relationship was just the beginning. I noticed all my interactions became smoother, with colleagues, with friends, with customer service agents. Because I had stopped expecting other people to change to make me feel better, I was able to connect with them on a more authentic level. I had finally learned that peace really is an inside job. The most shocking result of all, however, was how a practice so simple could be so profound. It seemed to bypass my conscious, analytical mind and work on a much deeper level. It didn't require me to analyze my past or understand the root of my problems. Its power for me was in its simplicity and its core principle of surrender, the how-to and the deeper explanation. So how can you do this, and why on earth does it work? It seems almost too mystical to be true, but when you break it down, there's a profound logic to it. Let's start with the how-to. It is the simplest practice you will ever learn. You repeat 4 phrases: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That's it. You can say them in any order. You can repeat just one of them. You can say them out loud or in your head. The key is the intention. This practice is rooted in the idea of 100% responsibility. This doesn't mean you're to blame for everything bad that happens. It means you are 100% responsible for your experience of it, for the data and memories playing out inside you as emotions and reactions. So when you say, I'm sorry, you are recognizing that something in your consciousness, a memory or a program, has contributed to the reality you're experiencing. You're taking responsibility for the inner anger, fear, or judgment that a person or situation has triggered in you. When you say, please forgive me, you aren't necessarily asking for forgiveness from another person. You're asking for forgiveness from the divine, the universe, or your own higher self for holding on to this negative energy, for running this program that has caused suffering. When you say thank you, you are expressing gratitude. You can be grateful for the opportunity to clean and release this energy. You can be grateful for the problem itself, for showing you what needed to be healed. Gratitude is a powerful state that's consistently linked to reduced stress. And finally, when you say, I love you, you are transmuting the energy. You are sending love to the situation, to the memory, to the other person, and most critically, to yourself and the parts of you that are hurting. This phrase reconnects you to a state of wholeness. So why did this simple chant feel more effective to me than stacks of self-help books? For me, the critical difference felt like this. Many traditional self-help methods rely on the conscious mind. It felt like I was using my willpower to impose a new belief on myself. But we all know the subconscious mind is where the vast majority of our beliefs, memories, and programs are stored. Hooponopono is not about conscious control, it's about subconscious cleaning. It's not a tool for manifestation in the sense of getting what you want, it's a tool for surrender. You're not telling the universe what to do. You're cleaning the inner static so you can hear the guidance that's already there. You're surrendering your limited perspective and asking for a higher intelligence to heal the root cause of the problem within you. This is why it feels so different. A lot of self-help can feel like a struggle, an effort of will. Hooponopono feels like a release, a letting go. The beauty of this practice is its incredible accessibility. It's free and you can do it anywhere, anytime without any special equipment or training. I shared my story for one reason, because I want you to experience this for yourself. Reading about it or watching this video is just information. The real transformation is in the practice. So I have a challenge for you, a 30-day Hooponopono challenge. For the next 30 days, commit to repeating these 4 phrases. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Every single day. Do it when you wake up, when you're in the car, when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling happy. There is no wrong way to do it. Just do it. Don't just take my word for what can happen. Find out for yourself. What old patterns are you ready to release? What peace is waiting for you on the other side of surrender? If you are ready to accept this challenge, I want you to do 2 things. First, go down to the comments right now and write, "I'm in for 30 days." Declare your intention. There's real power in that. Second, if you want to follow more journeys into powerful, life-changing practices like this one, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. Then, for the next 30 days, practice. And after your 30 days are up, I want you to come back to this video and share what happened in the comments. Share your miracles, your shifts, your moments of peace. Your story could be the one that inspires someone else to begin their own journey of healing. Before this experiment, my life was about striving, controlling, and forcing. I was trying to build a peaceful house using anxious tools. It was never going to work. 30 days of chanting 4 simple phrases taught me the most important lesson of my life. True, lasting change doesn't come from wrestling with reality. It comes from cleaning the lens through which you see reality. The problems in my life didn't all magically disappear, but the suffering I created around them did. Hooponopono gave me back my power. Not the power to control the world, but the power to control my own inner state. It taught me that peace is always available, right here and right now. It's not in a book, it's not in a seminar, and it's not in some far-off future where all your problems are solved. It's in your ability to take responsibility, to forgive, to be grateful, and to love. It's an inside job. And it is the most liberating work you will ever do. Thank you for watching. I love you.